We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't, baby. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yes, what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Get what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't, baby. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the peace, the key.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the night, holding on for life. chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get off you. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling alive, chasing the light, chasing the night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to RCI TV for round 6 and the season finale of the McLaren Masters Cup. We're here at Monza, under the lights, for what should be a fantastic season finale to what has been an incredible season thus far. My name is Ryan Gill, I'll be your lead commentator for tonight, and joining me, just as he has for the previous 5 rounds of this season, is Howlin. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Ryan. I'm doing great. Looking forward to the season finale. And critical development today, Peter Henneberg, our championship leader, sitting in first with 251 points, 11 points ahead of Bart Macchia. He's not going to be showing up for today's race, and that has completely opened up the door for Bart Macchia to snatch the victory today and the championship win. It's really his race to lose today.
Yeah, it is. You've kind of hit the nail on the head right from the start, haven't you? And Bart Macchia, the guy that you can see on screen right now in the 404 Connection Lost Racing McLaren, he is going to be the one who's, well, in pole position, should we say, to win the championship here tonight. He's only 10th in practice at the moment, but of course practice doesn't tell the story of the race. We do have qualifying coming up in just a couple of minutes. But for those guys that may be new around here, because I know that after the 12 hours of Bathurst, we did have a lot of new subscribers come in, so we're all so very grateful for you guys to come in here and check out some of our other series. So this is the McLaren Masters Cup, McLaren 720S cars and McLaren 570S cars. So we've got GT3s and GT4s on here tonight. We also have some AM GT3 cars present, so there's 3 championships going on at once. It's been an incredible season so far. And, well, if you are interested in checking out any of the previous races for this championship, we definitely recommend you do so. But for right now, stick around, because it's going to be exciting, that's for sure. Because, I mean, I don't think I'm out of bounds by saying this, Howlin, that every single race has got better than the last.
For sure, that has been 100% the case. I keep getting amazed every single race. We think, how could it possibly get better? Every race we're like, this is crazy, but the next one just outdoes it every single time.
Yep, so for the season finale, we're going to be under the lights here at Monza. Of course, Suzuka was supposed to be our night race for this championship, but server event files had a bit of an issue that day, and that wasn't the case. So it got moved here to Monza, and what a fantastic way to round out the season. So we're going to be switching over to qualifying in just a moment. And of course, for those guys that are new around here, maybe you're not entirely sure how qualifying will work for this championship or for the season finale. Well, the GT4s will be going out first on track. They'll have the track to themselves for 9 minutes as they go out and set their laps. And then, of course, the 2-minute overlap period begins. The GT4s finish up their laps. And then, of course, for the final 9 minutes, the GT3s have the track to themselves. And you'll see that happen in just a moment's time as we wait for the session to expire.
Right, and the GT4 class, it's really close in the championship tonight. Anything can happen still with today's race. Jesperi Hilkaleo, the championship leader for the GT4 class, sitting at 271 points. That's just 8 points ahead of Michael Sundstrom in second. And then following him, another 12 points behind is Alexander Guglia with 251 points. So the top three are really close, and it's completely up for grabs with tonight's race.
Yeah, completely up for grabs is the perfect way to define it. But here we go then. Into qualifying we are, and you'll notice that qualifying taking place at 8 p.m. in the evening. So, you know, not too long before the sunlight disappears. So we're going to be looking out for the GT4s heading out on track. And I think we do actually have a GT4 out already, and I believe it's Mikael Sundstrom. And a lot of these names may be familiar to a lot of you new guys around here, and that's because a lot of these names raced in the Bathurst 12-hour that we had on Saturday, 17th of October. And how crazy is that, Howlin, that some of these guys have been through a 12-hour race, and they might have even had a race on Sunday as well, and now they're coming into a sprint race on the Monday night. I mean, some of these guys, they're made of something else, aren't they?
Yes, that is just nuts. I don't know how you guys do it. You know, I was listening earlier. You yourself also had been pretty busy this weekend, especially with that 12 hours at Bathurst. So, impressive job that these guys can still pull it together for today and still try to put on a good race.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, Mikael Sundstrom makes his way around the circuit. He'll be the first of the GT4s to go out and set a lap time. You might notice that we don't have that many GT4s. Unfortunately, the sign-ups for the GT4 class were a bit low. But, well, don't let the sign-up numbers defer you from watching this battle, because the GT4s have been the most competitive of any of the classes we have available here tonight. I mean, yes, there's a battle for the Pro Championship in GT3. Yes, there's a battle for the AM Championship in GT3. But my word, the GT4s have been nose to tail for the whole race, for the whole season. And, well, it's all going to come to a conclusion here at Monza. So here we are, Mikael Sundstrom, the Swede, part of the nearly on pace team, of which there are 3 cars for this team competing here tonight. And he's going to start his flying lap for his first qualifying effort here at Monza. So over the timing line he goes, down towards turn 1. Such a long run down to the first chicane here at Monza. Coming down towards Prima Variante, the braking zone for a GT3 car, 150 meters. It's going to be around the same for a GT4 car. How aggressive is he on the inside? Not too aggressive on the entry. Quite nice on the exit as well, using all of the curb on the right-hand side of the track. Now he makes his way through Biasono. Of course, completely flat in these cars. And he's going to make his way down towards the Seconda Variante chicane. Much quicker chicane than the first one out on the track. Brakes at around the same point the GT3s would. How aggressive is he over the first part? Very aggressive on the opening part of the chicane. Not too aggressive in the second phase. Being a bit more reserved there, Mikael Sundstrom. Now he comes into the Lesmos, 2 of the most popular corners on this circuit. So quick in a GT3 car, not as fast in a GT4. And you can see how much more curb Mikael Sundstrom is taking in these GT4 cars. You won't be seeing the GT3s taking as much curb. Now he makes his way down Seraglio and towards Ascari, one of the most popular sequences of corners in the world And here he goes down into the braking zone. How committed is he? Not very committed on the first part of the chicane. Not committed in the middle sector either, but completely goes over the anti-cut for the exit of Ascari. Makes his way now down towards the Parabolica, the final corner on this circuit. But you have to get this corner right. It sets you up for the next lap, and it can be so easy to lose so much time in this corner. Mikael Sundström looking very good, gets the power down, isn't going to go too wide, doesn't need to use too much of the Astro, and will make his way towards the timing line. The first lap for the GT4 qualifying session, Mikael Sundström, it's a 1:57.582 from the Swede, but Alexander Guglia, the Austrian, also in the nearly on pace team, he's going to be coming around the Parabolica now, up towards the timing line. What is Alexander Guglia going to do in comparison to his teammate Sundström? It's a 1:57.3. Guglia takes the provisional pole, but Hilicalio comes up. He'll slot himself into second, but Vidimari will put himself on the front row provisionally for the GT4s.
Right, and already starting with a bunch of action, like you were saying earlier, Ryan, these top 5 GT4 drivers are super close, as they have been throughout the entire season. And when you said nose-to-tail racing, it literally is nose-to-tail racing all the way through for each 1 hour race. It's just insane. So right now, Guglia is sitting in pole position provisionally, but who knows? Hilicalio has come off with 4 pole positions in the last 5 races, so I'm expecting him to put in a good result in this qualifying, but Guglia already with a really great lap.
Yeah, Alexander Guglia, he's going to be looking to throw down his hat for the championship here tonight alongside Mikael Sundström and Jesperi Hilicalio for the GT4s. I noticed that Svensson didn't set a valid lap time, so of course he's missed a lap technically, in which he can put down a banker. And that's one of the big problems here in the GT4 qualifying. You only have 9 minutes to set a lap, and if you fail to set that banker lap on your opening flying lap, it can really cost you towards the end of the qualifying session. It means you can't really go as extreme on your qualifying run for the rest of the session, because you're always going to be 1 lap behind everyone else. Mikael Sundström, he comes up towards the timing line again. What will it be from the Swede? He'll cross the line. He won't improve on his time. He will still have enough time to go around and do another lap. Alexander Guglia, he's already provisional pole. Can he increase his lead for provisional pole? It's just over 1/10 of a second so far. He crosses the line. He won't improve his gap. And Joachim Svensson does cross the line. He'll put himself into 5th. But Vidimari will put himself provisional pole at his home circuit.
Yeah, and just as you say that, Hilicalio has sneaked into 2nd place so far in qualifying, just marginally behind Vidimari. So Vidimari looking like he's going to get his first pole position of the championship. There's only a few minutes left in qualifying for the GT4 class, so really this is the last lap they have to put in a time.
Yeah, and as we I just had a quick recheck of the GT4 Championship standings. Of course, it's Hilicalio from Sundström and then Guglia. Vidimari and Svensson not really in the championship fight. But of course, Vidimari could well take 3rd in the championship if he gets a win here tonight, and, well, the likes of Guglia don't have a good race.
Right, and the battle is definitely still on between Svensson and Vidimari at the very least for... if they can't get up to 3rd place, they can still fight for 4th. They're super close, only 3 points separating 4th and 5th of Vidimari and Svensson, respectively. So, a couple of guys on for their, what seems like their final lap of qualifying. We do have some good times being put in from Hilicalio. He's 2/10 up on his best right now. Svensson also a 10th up on his best. So Hilicalio 3/10 now. If he can keep this up, he's going to get that pole position.
He is, and Hilicalio, he's going to come up towards the timing line. He is 2/10 up. He will go provisional pole. Jesperi Hilicalio looks to take another pole position here in the GT4 class. He will continue on his way. He's going to try and set another lap time. Mikael Sundstrom, by the way, he did slightly improve on his lap time, and he is still on a flying lap. He can still improve. He's up by 3/10 even, Mikael Sundstrom. So, being that he's only just under 4/10 behind, Hilicalio is right to keep going and try and beat that lap time, because Mikael Sundstrom, he's got the pace around here to beat them, maybe just hasn't hooked the lap up together. But now, on his final run, does he have the chance to do it? Vidamari is also on a flying lap as well, by the way. He hasn't given up on the chance to take pole position. He is more likely than Sundstrom to take it away from Hilicalio, but Hilicalio's been dominant in qualifying all season long. And like you said, Howlin, we expect him to continue that trend. But what can Mikael Sundstrom do? He's off the track, and that's going to be an invalidated lap. So he won't be challenging Vidamari or Hilicalio for that front row. The front two are locked in, but Vidamari is up by a 10th. Hilicalio is down by a 10th. The Italian could still do it here at his home circuit.
Right, so Vidamari is a 10th up on his personal best for this qualifying session. He needs to bring it to at least just over or around 2/10 up. So he's sitting on that margin right now. He has one corner left to go. Parabolica, does he make up the time? It seems like he lost it.
Well, he's going to come up towards the timing line. Jesperi Hilicalio will be first. He comes up, he doesn't improve. Vidamari comes up, he does improve, but not enough to displace Hilicalio from the pole position lap time in GT4. So Hilicalio takes another pole position in the GT4 class for the final round of the season. And it's been an incredible qualifying performance from him all season long. But of course, he still has to go out and do it in the race. So, 9 minutes of qualifying remain, and it's time for the GT3s. The big bad machines make their way out on track. And this is where everything gets let loose. We have, 16 GT3 cars going out on track for qualifying.
What a sight.
So here we go then. The GT3 cars make their way out, and of course the guys you need to be watching out for today for the championship, they're going to be the likes of Bart Matcher, Klaus Niering, Andy Boardman, Joe McCauley and Marcus Stein. They are realistically the 4 championship contenders. It is in Bart Matcher's hands. It is all to play for Bart Matcher. In theory, it'll be difficult for him to lose it here tonight, Howlin.
Right.
But we've seen crazier in the last couple of races.
Yeah, and that definitely includes Bart Matcher himself. He has had some incidents earlier in the championship. In the first few laps, he has gone out before, and that really hurt his race. So there is a chance that things don't go his way, but he has been historically able to come back with a good strategy around that pit stop. So it really is, like you're saying, his race to lose today. And it's going to be a tough fight for the rest of the boys to try to take this one away from him.
Yeah, it definitely is. But Andy Boardman in the 69, he's going to be the first GT3 to make his way around the Parabolica and start the qualifying lap. We've got a GT3 off at Ascari on their out lap. I think that was the 141 of Tim Ireland. We'll hope that he doesn't get caught up with anyone in qualifying. But here we go then for the start of the GT3 qualifying. Final round of the season. Andy Boardman takes us across the line here at Monza, down towards turn 1. You can already see how much quicker the GT3s are. Late on the brakes here into Prima Variante. Isn't going to take anywhere near as much curb as the GT4s have in the past session. And now making his way through towards Biasono, completely flat as well in these cars, same as the GT4s. So much downforce in these cars as well, they can afford to take it flat, accelerating up and up and up, and then to the Seconda Variante. Brakes at the 150 meter board, going to be second gear for this corner. nice and smooth through both parts of the entry and exit there for Andy Boardman. Looking good on this lap so far as he makes his way through towards the first of the two Lesmos. Don't understeer out too wide here. Looks to be okay. Makes his way towards the second Lesmo. Don't hit too much of this curb on the inside or you'll lose control of the car, as Boardman almost does. But he saves it well. He's kept it there, but he might be under pressure from nearing behind here on his qualifying lap. He's going to keep it pinned though. Or is he? No, he's going to move over actually. He's going to back off of his lap, which means Nearing takes over. So into Ascari he goes. Looks good on the entry. Looks good through the middle. Looks good on the exit. Doesn't go too wide. Avoids the gravel, which is key around here to a good lap time. And will now make his way down towards the Parabolica. So Klaus Nearing will be the first driver to come out and set a lap time here in the GT3 qualifying session. Goes through the Parabolica, looks pretty good. A bit unstable through the middle part of the corner. But the lovely green McLaren will come out and up towards the timing line. The first lap, it's a 1:47.7 for Klaus Nearing. Boardman crosses the line, but of course his lap much slower after he let Nearing through. Quade Claessens comes over the line. He's just 3/10 shy of provisional pole. Some of the lap times come now in. Svinktas, Pimlott, Thompson setting laps. But here's Joe McCauley. He'll go just under a 10th quicker than Klaus Nearing. Bart Matcher, is he coming up towards the line at the moment? The 4:04. I can see him out on track, but he hasn't set a lap time yet. So he must have invalidated his first flying lap. So Bart Matcher finds himself on the back foot in qualifying from lap 1.
And Joe McCauley showing the boys who is boss, coming back after having had to sit out the last race due to an ankle injury. He's really coming here today to prove that he should take the championship win, although it might be a little bit challenging for him because he had to miss out on that one race. But he has had 3 pole positions in the last 5 races, so he's really in a dominant position, showing who's the fastest on the track right now.
Yeah, and Joe McCauley actually just going off at the first Lesmo there on his second lap round, and he'll return to the pit lane. But I imagine just being about 75 thousandths of a second ahead of Nearing, Joe McCauley isn't going to think his day is done just yet.
Right, and we still have a couple of fast guys. Art Matcha has had 1 pole position in the championship before, so he can still put himself up there. Doesn't look like he's had a valid lap so far, so still waiting on him. But like you're saying, McCauley not in the safest position right now, but he still has a couple more laps to go, put in a faster time yet.
Quade Claessens does that faster time though. 1:47.5 sends him provisional pole by almost 2/10. Bart Matcher crosses the line, and what a banker lap that is. Puts him second on the board. So Bart Matcher invalidated his first lap, but put down an impressive second to put himself on the front row, exactly where he needs to be.
Okay, only less than 3 minutes left in qualifying. That gives you a couple of laps left for these GT3 drivers. The qualifying order is really showcasing who's in that championship fight. These are the fastest guys sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now. And Monza, it's a really notorious track for qualifying. You need to get things right. You need to get the slipstream if possible. So, my eye is on Joe McCauley. He's put in really great qualifyings before. I'm expecting him to do the same today.
Yeah, Joe McCauley, a lot of eyes going to be on him for sure. Neil Pimlott is up on his lap time by 0.8 of a second. Of course, he's in the AM class for the GT3s in the number 22. He's making his way towards the Parabolica now, so he's going to be improving significantly on his lap time. Andy Boardman's up by 1/10 of a second. Make that 2/10 of a second coming into the Parabolica, but he's gone a bit wide through the middle, and he's lost all that time. He'll come up towards the line. Will he improve? No, he won't. So he'll stay where he is, but Neil Pimlott, he comes up towards the line, 0.6 up. He'll go up to 11th. So puts himself in a very good position for the AM class. Joe McCauley is up on his time by a 1/10 of a second coming out of the first chicane. Here's Jan Matthias though. 6th place at the moment, 2/10 up on his lap. He will go 5th with an impressive lap time, going 2/10 of a second quicker. Finds himself exactly a 1/3 of a second down from pole position. Here's Tim Ireland. He had issues at Spa, was a bit of a hazard for some of the GT4 cars, but he's making his way round at the moment. 7/10 of a second up on his time. He'll go 12th for the GT3s. As a few of these guys do start to round out now. Just under a minute of qualifying remaining for the GT3s.
Right, so Clausen's sitting comfortably so far. It looks like he's in the pits and might not be setting any more laps from now. So the bar to beat is a 1:47.5. Currently McCauley 2/10 up on his best time. That would give him pole position so far.
So Joe McCauley making his way down towards Parabolica. This is going to be it. He does technically have enough time to do another lap if he can't do it. Into the Parabolica, looks nice and smooth. He's gained a bit of time as well. He's going to come out of the Parabolica up towards the timing line. This should be provisional pole. It is provisional pole for the Scot. Joe McCauley puts it a 1/10.5 up. Quade Claessens is back in the pit lane. He's not going to be improving his lap time. Bart Matcher's 8/10 of a second down. He won't be improving his lap time, so he can't go pole. But the important factor is Klaus Nearing, he's 4/10 off provisional pole. He is still up on his lap time. 1/10 up at the moment. He could still dethrone Joe McCauley as much as it's unlikely. There is still a chance here. Jan Matthias crosses the line. He'll move up to 4th. So a good qualifying session from Jan Matthias right at the end here. As Zeljko Madzo comes around the final corner, he's going to improve a bit on his lap time as well, but he'll stay 14th. So the two last cars on track, Buchel and Nearing. Buchel's backed out of his lap, and Nearing looks to cross the line now. He's lost time going into the Parabolica. He's not going to regain it coming out of the Parabolica. He'll come up towards the timing line. Will he improve? He will improve, but not enough to get up to 4th. So Joe McCauley will stand on pole for the final round of the championship. And he is continuing round on his lap time. He doesn't need to improve his lap time, but we know exactly the kind of driver Joe McCauley is. He knows that once his opponent is already beaten, he's going to beat them again and again and again until they can't fight anymore. Into the final corner. Can Joe McCauley go any quicker than he's already gone? He's sitting on a 47.35. Can he improve? He is a 10th up. Will he improve? Up towards the timing line. Joe McCauley goes a 10th quicker.
Wow.
And solidifies his place as the pole position man of the season in GT3. And he will start at the front yet again here at Monza.
You know what? Through this championship, it's making me feel like the only guy who can beat Joe McCauley is Joe McCauley.
Yeah, definitely so. So, here we go, guys. The race will be starting soon, but of course, I think it's about time that we run you through the championship order for tonight. Because, of course, we do have 3 championships on offer. So, here we go then. Looking through the championship standings of the McLaren Masters Cup. At the top of the board, Peter Henneberg with 251 points. But of course, the big news, he's not here tonight, so he won't be winning the championship regardless of what goes down tonight. Bart Matcher sits in 2nd with 240 points, followed by Klaus Nearing in 3rd with 214. He's only got a 1-point gap between himself and Andy Boardman. Joe McCauley sits 5th in the championship despite his impressive results this season, and Marcus Stein right behind him. So those top 6 are the championship contenders, but of course Peter Henneberg not present tonight. So how crazy is that? The championship leader not here. Quade Claessens won the opening round of the season in a torrential Barcelona race. He sits 7th in the championship. He's got a good chance of putting himself in the top 5 here tonight, as does Simon Thompson, who sits 8th in the championship with 181. And then we have Jonathan Bentz in 9th place and Mikołaj Ponitzi rounding out the top 10 for the first round of the GT3 Pros. As for the second round of the GT3 Pros, well, we have Jan Matthias, Steve Banks, Tim van Wezenmaal, and Christian Buchel, who will be competing for the honours of not finishing last. And, well, looking at the championship standings, a couple of those do have a chance to get into the top 10 here tonight, but they're going to need a good result. So, on to the GT3 AMS then. Neil Pimlott leads the way, 271 points. And he's got Zeljko Madzo behind him by 29 points. It's going to be difficult for Neil Pimlott to be dethroned from that position, but Zeljko Madzo does have the chance to do it. Chris Milon can't compete for the title, but he does have to worry about the guys behind him, because Sven Kunas and Ronda could take that 3rd place away from him here tonight. Tim Ireland, Joe Naylor, Harold Grassman, Leonard Ilhe, and Tamas Samogi round out the AM field. Then moving on to the GT4s. Well, Jesperi Hilakallio leads the way with 271 points over Mikael Sundström. Just 8 points between these two at the top of their table. Then Alexander Guglia, well, he's 20 points behind Hilakallio, but he has every chance of winning the title here today if things don't go well for Jesperi Hilakallio. Vidamari, of course, 4th in the championship, doesn't really have a chance at winning the title here tonight. But what he does have a chance at doing is putting himself into 3rd in the championship, as does Joachim Svensson. And Mark Brown and Juuso Grönmark, unfortunately, not available for the season finale tonight. So that is the championship order then, guys. So close. And, of course, the championship to be decided in Pro, AM, and GT4 Pro here tonight. And we have no idea who's going to win. We have some sort of clue who's going to be finishing at the top, but just as always, nothing is certain in this championship. So, running down the grid order then, Joe McCauley starts on pole with Quade Claessens alongside him on the front row. Bart Matcher has the likes of Jan Matthias alongside him on the 2nd row of the grid. Klaus Neering and Andy Boardman on the 3rd row of the grid. Both of those going to be challenging for 3rd in the championship. Mikołaj Ponitzi and Christian Buchel lining up on the 4th row, with Steve Banks and the likes of Simon Thompson making their way to round out the top 10. The rest of the GT3 field include Marcus Stein, Neil Pimlott, Tim Ireland, Zeljko Madzo, Takevo Svenkunas, Chris Millen round out the GT3 field. As for the GT4s, well, Jesperi Hilakallio leads the way, of course, in that, followed by Daniele Vidamari, then Mikael Sundström, Alexander Guglia, and Joachim Svensson starts all the way at the back of the grid. So here we go then. They pull away for the formation lap. And this, well, Howlin, this is going to be an incredible race here tonight, isn't it? I mean, it has been so incredible all season, as Jan Matthias stalled the car pulling away from the grid there, so he's got a bit of a catching up to do. But, well, it's all set, isn't it? And it's looking to be an amazing race here tonight, as you just see the entire grid pull away. We're at Monza. It has that bad reputation down into turn 1, but this race, this championship, has been so clean all season, and we're expecting the same thing here tonight.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Ryan. And I think Monza couldn't have been any better of a track to finish the championship on. Better yet, having our one and only night race in this championship for the finale, that's another great thing. And with this, you saw earlier, all of these guys, they're so close in the championship, and with Monza being the track that it is, it's going to be so hard for the gaps to get open, because you just stick in that slipstream and you're with that guy all the way, even if he's slightly faster. So I'm expecting a really close race today. And like you're saying, Ryan, it's been so clean. I'm expecting just a really tough fight for all of these guys to try to make out that finish for the championship position.
Well, as we get closer here, oh, it seems that Jan Matthias has had an issue. He's returned to the pit lane, so he could be starting from the pit lane. So he qualified, what was it, fourth on the grid, didn't he? Jan Matthias. So he's going to... Ooh, issues there for Jan Matthias. So he's going to have to start from the pit lane. That's going to throw everything together for his championship position spot. And whilst we ponder over why that might be, Howlin, I think it's time, before they get a bit too close to the end of the lap and the start of the race, who's going to be on the cards for you tonight? Who are you putting down as a potential race winner or even championship winner here tonight?
Okay, so starting in the GT3 Pro class, I gotta say Bart Matchia is looking like a clear favorite to win the championship today, and I would say also for today's race. Maybe not for Bart Matchia, but Joe McCauley sitting in that pole position. He's had stellar performances throughout the championship, so I think he's going to take home the race win, but unfortunately not the championship. Going into GT3M class, Neil Pimlott, I've raced with that guy before. I know how fast he is. You know, he's fighting up a weight, really. He's contending with those pro drivers, so he's probably going to take the win tonight. And I'm expecting him to also take the championship with today's race. But GT4 class, that's a whole nother story. We've seen Hilacalio has been able to get those pole positions 5 out of 6 races, but he has struggled a little bit in the early laps. And we've seen the Nearly On Pace team, all 3 of those guys, they're really able to capitalize on that. I think Mikael Sundstrom is going to come out with the victory tonight.
Well, Howlin has spoken, and I don't think you could have put it any better. Well, I don't think I could have put it any better myself. And you'll see that empty slot there as they line up 2 by 2. That would have been filled by Jan Matthias. Mikolaj Ponitsi has also been forced to start from the pit lane, or not forced, rather. He's had to return to the pit lane. So it'll be interesting to find out what has happened to those 2 drivers as we go through the race. But here we go then for the start, the season finale of the McLaren Masters Cup. 60 minutes of racing under the lights here at Monza, and it all starts now. Joe McCauley leads them across the line. It's lights out for the final round of the season, but Quade Claessens has got a decent start on the front row alongside him. Bart Matchia is going to be under pressure from the likes of Neering and Boardman right from the get-go. It's going to be Joe McCauley down on the inside into turn 1. It's 3 wide behind them, though, as they come down into the first chicane. Will they keep it clean? Oh, and Bart Matchia's been turned around by Neering. He's been clipped on the exit of the first chicane. Bart Matchia, the championship leader, the championship contender, is spun around at the first chicane. But beyond that, it was a very clean start.
Oh my goodness, and we were just talking about this. Bart Matchia has been involved in incidents a couple of times throughout the championship, and him going out there really challenges. Is he going to win this championship tonight?
Well, we'll have to see, as Klaus Neering has made a mistake as well, and that's going to allow Andy Boardman to get through and the likes of Simon Thompson to get through. So Klaus Neering's championship efforts are also sinking in the progress at the start here. But it's cool and clean at the front for Joe McCauley and Quade Claessens. They're leading away and looking good now at the moment as they thunder down towards Ascari for the first time. But Bart Matchia, well, he's going to have to make his way through the GT4s much earlier than he expected to. And I'm sure he'll be frustrated, but he's got to keep his head cool, keep his head down, and start to close up those gaps. It's a 60-minute race here, plenty of time to make up places.
Right, so Matchia, he has a 26-point lead on the next contender of Klaus Neering, but we were talking earlier, Ryan, there is still a possibility for him to lose this championship standing if Klaus Neering is able to get a good lead in this race. But as we saw earlier, he also struggled a little bit on that first lap. So Boardman, he might be coming through. He's only 1 point behind Neering.
Yeah, definitely so. And here is Klaus Nearing, slipstreaming the likes of Simon Thompson down towards turn 1. Prima Variante, he's on the inside, he's later on the brakes. And oh, there's a GT3 coming right across the track. I'm not sure which one that was. Under the lights there, completely misjudged the braking zone. He's gone across, he has had contact with the likes of Klaus Nearing, the 23. That was the 555 of Marcus Stein, one of the championship contenders, completely missing his braking zone. And that's caused issues for the likes of Klaus Nearing, although Nearing is continuing onwards as it stands. So hopefully he hasn't got too much damage on that car. But if he does come in to serve an early mandatory pit stop, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for the sake of entertainment, let's hope Nearing is okay. He is able to maintain track position, but like you're saying, Ryan, if he has damage, that could spell disaster.
Yeah, so Klaus Nearing continues onwards. Meanwhile, at the back in GT4, it's all to play for, as it usually is. Alexander Guglia going side by side with Vidamari. Vidamari on the inside as they come through the second Lesmo. The GT4s have been close all season, and that's going to continue now, although Hilakalio and Sundstrom looking to have checked out a bit at the front in GT4. Not the case for Guglia, Vidamari, and Svensson behind, as they're so close here. But Guglia does seem to have had the edge over the likes of Vidamari, and Svensson's managed to get past the number 230 as well. So a poor start for the Italian here at his home circuit, as Mikuláš Ponitzi and Tim Ireland now look to make their way through. And of course, if you guys were wondering, we do have live stewarding here for this race tonight. So that incident that was down at turn 1 with Bart Matcher and Klaus Nearing will be investigated by the stewards. And of course, the incident with Marcus Stein and Klaus Nearing will be investigated as well. So expect that penalties will most likely come out for both of those incidents later on in the race.
Yeah, so Bart Matcher, the championship leader, currently sitting on 13th on the track. I think that might just be enough. If he can hold that position, he might be okay. But I still am expecting him to be able to take a few places here and there throughout the rest of the race. So maybe things are still okay for him.
Well, it's going to be a championship fight back that will earn Bart Matcher that championship win if he does collect it. I can guarantee you he's going to have to work for it now. And as someone that I speak to on a fairly regular basis, I know that he'll want it so much. And, well, into 12th right now. Going to have to start making his way up through the field. Marcus Stein, by the way, he's going to be under investigation for that incident with Klaus Nearing. Nearing did come into the pit lane, and he has served his mandatory pit stop right away. So obviously indicating that there was damage on that car. Also, the GT4s of Guglia and Vidamari in on the second lap as well, which is very unusual for them. So I wonder if there was a collision in GT4 that we didn't catch on camera. And we'll have to wait to see if there's a steward's inquiry into that a bit later on in the race.
Right, so it's hard to tell right now. They could have gone in for the damage, or they might have just been trying to pull out an early pit stop strategy. It's hard to say. It is unusual, but we have seen it before in a few races throughout the championship. Some of these guys like to go in early, maybe to try to open up some clean air, but really, if you lose that slipstream on Monza, it's hard to claw your way back because you can slingshot each other, the guys in the front, and they're just going to pull away if they're sticking in each other's slipstream.
Got people asking in the chat, what does Bart Matcher need to do to win the championship here tonight? Well, as it stands, I can currently tell you that Bart Matcher would not win the championship. Andy Boardman, currently sitting in 3rd place, would be the championship leader, well, championship winner as it stands. But of course, all that will develop over the course of the race. So we'll keep you up to date with everything going on with the championship standings as positions change. But as it stands right now, Bart Matcher's 11th place is not enough to guarantee him a championship.
Right, and it's looking a little dangerous. Joe McCauley might even have a chance.
Well, as it stands, I think Joe McCauley would be right behind or right ahead of Bart Matcher in the championship standings. So I think it does depend on if Bart Matcher can make his way any further up the grid. And he is up to 10th now. So Bart Matcher making that championship ever more likely as the laps go on. And it's going to be interesting to see how much further he can make his way up the field. The benefit he does have, that little tap he got from Nearing, it was only light. He got put into the gravel. He was out of the way and didn't get hit by any of the other cars coming through the chicane. So there shouldn't really be much damage on that car, which shouldn't really affect his pace. He's just got to get his head down and get focused. So, looking as it is right now, I think, Howland, judging by my calculations, I think 9th place, which is the position just ahead of Bart Matcher, would be enough for the championship as it stands. So Bart Matcher, he needs to make up 1 place over the next 51 minutes and 46 seconds to guarantee a championship. But of course, nothing's ever that easy. But Marcus Stein, he's in the pit lane early, so he's going to be serving his mandatory pit stop. And of course, remember guys, all of them do have to serve 1 mandatory pit stop this race. They do not have to take tyres, they just have to take fuel. So they will be serving that mandatory pit stop over the course of the race. There is no strict time that you have to serve it. You just have to make sure it is served before the last lap of the race. And here is Bart Matcher, and ooh, a little bit of contact there with Sven Kunis. And Bart Matcher's got to be careful because Sven Kunis is in a different class. And that doesn't go down well with the stewards if you're, coming to blows with someone in a different class than you. But Bart Matcher has backed off. He hasn't tried to force the position, so good sportsmanship there from the pole.
Right, he might be getting a little bit impatient. I'm not sure if he's been doing the math as he's racing to figure out where he needs to finish for this championship, but he might be a little bit under pressure. It's a devastating blow to the mental game if you lose out on the first lap like he did, and he's really going to try to claw his way back. So if he can just be a little bit more patient and avoid any further incidents, he will have this probably in the bag. He just needs to play it safe right now and get that clean pass on these guys that he knows he should be faster than.
Yeah, definitely so. And Bart Matcher, if he is doing the maths in his head, well, he knows that that position ahead of him is all the more important as he looks to close it in. Simon Thompson into the pit lane as well. Some early pit stops going on out here, Howlin. This is not what we're used to seeing here in the McLaren Cup. We're used to seeing people leave it to the second half of the race to get these mandatory pit stops out of the way. So some alternate strategies going on here as Bart Matcher looks to make the move on Sven Kunis. He does get it done. The connection lost 404 McLaren up in to 8th place, but is Sven Kunis going to look to take it back? No, can't quite do it into the second Lesmo. So Bart Matcher moves himself up. And of course, Simon Thompson will be ahead of him on track once all of them serve their pit stops. But Bart Matcher is now in that magical 9th place that he needs to be in for the championship.
Right, so we're not 100% sure yet what's going to happen when it's all said and done with the pit stops, but he's looking like he's in a good place right now to bring home that championship win. Boy, that was a little stressful from him.
Yeah, definitely so. And have a little look at the championship standings. So as it stands, Bart Matcher will win the championship as it stands. 274 points will be enough to clinch him the championship, but he has to keep going. He can't afford to settle for 9th place. He has to keep pushing and make up as many places as possible. And Neil Pimblott goes off, outbrakes himself, and he's going to go too quick through the escape road and pick himself a drive-through penalty to serve as well. So Neil Pimblott, that's going to be a free position for the likes of Bart Matcher as well. So the championship leader in GT3 AM has now got a drive-through penalty. Zeljko Madso is ahead of him. this might have just blown the doors open for the GT3 AM Championship, which we were fairly sure was settled.
Right. And Sven Kunas is gonna take the place with that drive-through penalty, and he spins. Pimlott, disaster for Pimlott.
Oh no, Neil Pimlott, the Jensen Team Rocket car, number 22, having problems. And he's still having problems as he's off the track there at the second Lesmo as well, so he's losing places.
Does he have damage? What's going on right now?
Could be a potential hardware failure for the likes of Neil Pimlott. If he's missing corners like that, I'm willing to bet that it could be a brake issue with hardware. It's entirely possible. I've seen it before in ACC. It was a South African race I was watching for the race face community. I saw someone's brakes die on their pedal set. Right here at Monza, actually, funny enough, and they were forced to retire. But the way he stopped for Ascari kind of gives me the idea that maybe he is fine. And oh, who's that? I think that's Simon Thompson. Off into the wall at the second Lesmo. He was approaching the back of Hilakalio. Oh, just took too much of the curb on the inside. Throws it into the wall, and that's going to damage his finishing position. He'd already been in for a mandatory pit stop as well. So if he's got damage on that car, which I'm willing to bet he does, he's now got to come in and serve that if it's going to be too much for him to handle.
Right, and that's one of the risks you run when you go for an early pit stop strategy. If any point later in the race you do encounter some damage, then you're going to have to go in for what's effectively a second pit stop.
So Neil Pimlott comes in and serves his drive-through penalty and clears it. Makes sure not to speed into the pit lane or out of it either to collect another one, and he'll be on his way. Hilakalio, meanwhile, leading the way in GT4. But of course, out front, Joe McCauley, 5.7 second gap over Quade Clarson's already. So he is looking incredibly good for this final round of the championship. And, well, as it stands, looking at it again, recalculating the championship standings points, taking this into consideration, Joe McCauley, Howlin, is 7 points behind Bart Matcher in the championship if things finish like they are now.
That's crazy. And we still don't know exactly where the likes of Nearing, Thompson, Stein, where are they going to come out? Are they going to be ahead of Mattia after all the pits have been completed? I'm not sure right now. It's kind of tough to do the math, and of course there's still a lot of time in between where anything could happen. But that's a little scary, but exciting for us.
Yeah, definitely is exciting for us indeed. And Chris Millen, by the way, has a 15-second time penalty. He's in 10th place right now, the number 33 720S. And I haven't had a report for what that is just yet, so I'll keep you up to date as the stewards' report is examined. But I can tell you that the stewards are at work at the moment looking into some incidents, so we should have an update on what happened in that first couple of laps fairly soon.
And another thing, Ryan, I do have to remind you, do you remember at Suzuka, Joe McCauley was leading the race. We thought he went in for an early pit stop strategy, but it turned out he ended up losing it on his own while leading the race, and that completely ruined it for him. So he's not completely out of the water just yet, even with that commanding lead on Clausen so far in the race.
Well, I can give you a little bit of an update. As we can see, Nearing trying to get past the likes of Neil Pimlott here. And of course, Nearing's already served his mandatory pit stop, and they're getting so close. A little bit of a touch there between the two McLarens. So they make their way down to the Seconda Variante. And is Pimlott going to concede the position? No, doesn't look like it, but he's compromised himself into the second chicane, and Klaus Nearing will get that done fairly easily. And just to cover you then on the steward's inquiry, I have got an update. So car 33, which is Chris Millen's car, he's received a 15-second time penalty for a collision with car 87. That was Zeliko Madso. So two of the AM cars coming together on the first lap, and Chris Millen was judged to be the guilty party in all of that. As for turn 1, lap 1, well, it's been judged to be a racing incident because Bart Matcher cut across the front of car 23. So Bart Matcher creating his own downfall, according to the stewards. They've seen all the perspectives, they've seen all the data, the telemetry, all the inputs. So they've given their verdict racing incident because Bart Matcher created his own downfall and he's got to make up for it. So no penalty for that. And as for the lap 3 incident involving Bart Matcher and the 555, I think that's wrong actually, because it says the 404 with the 555. I'm pretty sure it was the 23. So I will look for clarification on that one, but only one penalty out so far, and the incident on the opening lap judged to be Bart Matcher's own doing, so no penalty for that one. What do you make of that one, Howland?
I can't say I'm that surprised. We have seen, unfortunately, Matcher has been caught up in some incidents. Like I was saying earlier, in the past races of this championship, he does seem to struggle a little bit with that opening phase of the race. Maybe it's the pressure, especially with him knowing that, oh, and just as I say that, he goes off the track at Ascari.
Oh, so Bart Matcher, he's starting to struggle. Oh, look at that. Did he hit the wall? No, kept it out.
He is making
incredibly good job.
He is making this a real challenge for himself right now. So,
He definitely is.
cracking a little bit under that pressure. He's going in for the pits right now. Okay, so we see him. He has been making these mistakes. Things are still totally up in the air right now. Ah, that's tough for Matcher. And you know, with the other penalties, I want to draw our attention to Chris Milon. With him having that 15-second penalty, that could be huge for Pimlott. Pimlott might be able to claw his way back and finish ahead of Milan, which would be huge for the championship finish. Because Pimlott could put him out of the points for that win against Mazzo. Okay.
Well, Bart Matcher making it difficult, isn't he? And he's come in for his mandatory pit stop. And he has served it, so the 404, he will continue on his way, and he's going to hope now that after serving that mandatory pit stop, he can kind of refocus a bit. Whoa, Neil Pimlott closing on the back of Simon Thompson and almost running into the back of the 720S. But fortunately, not doing so, and Simon Thompson's rear end manages to escape the front of Neil Pimlott for now, at least.
Right, so Bart Matcher currently looking like he's in a good position, first out of all the guys who have pit in the GT3 Pro class. But Joe McCauley has a really dominating lead, and although Claussens is 8.5 seconds behind him, he's still also very far ahead.
Yeah, he definitely is, and having a little relook at the championship standings, 10th place at the moment is the likes of Bart Matcher. And actually, a quick recalculation, at the moment, I think 10th place is actually still enough, you know, for Bart Matcher to seal the championship, but if he keeps making mistakes like he has, that's going to quickly start to fade away. So, here we go then. Quade Claussens. He's got just under a second between himself and the likes of Andy Boardman. And of course, Andy Boardman, he's got everything to play for as well, hasn't he? Because if he can make a place up on Quade Claussens, he's going to thrust himself into that championship fight conversation again. Because if he makes up a place, gets a few extra points, maybe 10th place for Bart Matcher isn't enough.
Right, and even at the very least, if he can finish ahead of Nearing, he's going to take home the second place in the championship. There's only 1 point separating them right now from the past 5 races. So things are shaping up to be really interesting right now. I'm a little bit nervous for Mattia. If Macaulay can pull this together and keep it all the way to the end, there is a chance that he comes home with the championship victory, even having had to sit out one of those 6 races throughout this championship. And he's been able to do that by putting in those stellar performances time and time again.
So Andy Boardman continues on his way. Christian Buchel has come into the pit lane, by the way. He's going to pit from 4th place, and he's had a fairly quiet race so far. Haven't really seen much of him. But I get the feeling that this fight for 2nd place is about to heat up. Andy Boardman, who's had a bit of an up and down season, finds himself in contention for the championship, and he's had 3 podiums so far this season, but 2 chances at a win this season, Howlin, and he's blown both of them. Now, I don't think he's going to get a win here today unless Joe Macaulay has issues like he had at Suzuka, which are possible. Anything can happen in the McLaren Masters Cup. But looking as it stands right now, Andy Boardman, I think 2nd place is the highest he can finish today on pace, unless Joe Macaulay has issues. So, you know, he has to close down the likes of Quade Claessens and get past him. But, as we've seen from Quade Claessens, 1 win so far this season, only 2 podiums, but he has proved himself to be a difficult driver to get past.
Right, we've seen him take that defensive position really, really well in several races, actually. So, you know, the lap times between Claessens and Boardman, it's really close, only about 4/10 separating their personal bests. But Boardman is behind. He does have that slipstream, so it's really hard for Claessens to get away, and Boardman is just going to stick in there for as long as he can. Now just 5/10 separating the 2 of them. I'm sorry, wait, there's only 4/100ths separating their best times, Claessens and Boardman.
So there we go, into turn 2, or into the 2nd chicane, sorry, and it looks like Quade Claessens, he's defended his position for now from the likes of Andy Boardman. But my word, the number 69, he's looking interested for this position, and Quade Claessens, if he didn't entirely know that Andy Boardman was there, he definitely does now.
Yeah, so Boardman definitely wants to get past at this point to help him out in the standings, and you know, it might benefit both of them if they can avoid battling. If Boardman and Claessens can keep slingshotting off of each other, they can pull away and keep that track position from any potential threats.
Oh, so here we go then. Marcus Stein, 555, has been given a drive-through penalty, but that's been given by the server, not by the stewards. So that's for speeding in the pit lane. So Marcus Stein's race in the 555 goes from bad to worse, as he's now got a drive-through penalty to serve, and there was a car off at the first Lesmo. I'm not entirely sure who that was, but we're going to continue to watch the likes of Quade Claessens and Andy Boardman. As Quade Claessens, he's now got to defend for this 2nd place in the race.
Yeah, so Boardman had a look earlier. It's still really close, but a little further behind than before. Claessen's doing an amazing job not cracking under the pressure, keeping that defense going, and I don't know, if Boardman has the pace, it might just be better for him to let it go at a certain point.
I think the big concern for Quade Claessens, though, is if he lets Andy Boardman go, and then they go into the pit stops, and he can't jump Andy Boardman in the pit stops. You know, if he doesn't have the pace, he can't fight back, and I think that's what Quade Claessens is going to do. I think he knows that he can't fight Andy Boardman on pace, so he's going to have to try and keep him behind for as long as possible. And whenever Andy Boardman pits, I get the feeling that Quade Claessens is going to be pitting the lap after to make sure that the number 69 can't jump ahead of him in the pit lane or in the pit stops. But as just see a little notification again for the 555. Is that for? Yes, it is. So lap 2, turn 1. Number 23 and 555 drive-through penalty for the 555. So Marcus Stein outbraked himself and clattered into the back of Klaus Neering. We saw that earlier on, start of lap 2. Well, he's been given a drive-through penalty for it, and I think you and I, Howlin, we kind of called that one, you know, before it even got sent to the stewards, and I think it was pretty self-explanatory.
Right, so that's real tough for Stein. That this might be spell the end of his race today, and that's going to be a race for him to forget. Not really much left he can do to keep in the contention, and that definitely did hurt Neering. Now he's sitting in 9th provisionally. He is in the contention for that championship victory, as a reminder. So, and he's currently sitting behind Mattia, so that's tough.
So, Quade Claessens, he has fended off the likes of Andy Boardman for now, and he's actually got a bit of breathing room between himself and Andy Boardman, more than he's had for the past couple of laps, and the South African will be very, very glad that he has that breathing room at the moment. And this is going to be a very, very good championship for Quade Claessens if he can bring home another podium. That'll be 3 podiums this season for him. He told me earlier on that he was not expecting to even get a win in this championship, and well, he's come away with a win and 2 podiums so far. Could be adding a 3rd one to his collection. Car 555 has apparently been disqualified, and I can only wonder if that's for not taking his mandatory drive-through that he was given by race control. So that's quite an unfortunate end to the season for the 555, I believe.
Right, and he was sitting pretty high up in the championship standing, but things just did not go his way today, and he takes his step out of the race. Not much more to say, I guess.
No, unfortunately not, as Bart Matcher, he looks to take another position, and he will take the position from Chris Millen. So he moves himself up into 7th place, keeping that championship alive and looking good right now. And he's got, well, we're just about to hit the halfway point of the race. So Bart Matcher, he survived the first half of this race so far, and he's still going to win the championship as it stands. But he's got another 30 minutes to go, and he's going to have to hope that the next 30 minutes don't go the same way that the first 30 did for him.
Right, exactly right, Ryan. And the GT4 battle is looking pretty strong for Helikalio right now. There's quite a bit of a margin between him and, I believe, Sundstrom in 2nd place in the GT4 class. So he should come out ahead probably after he finishes that pit stop.
So Jesperi Helikalio looks to lock down his title in the GT4 class, but of course Mikael Sundstrom will be doing his best to make sure that that doesn't happen. And I think we've got Sven Kunas back in the pit lane. The number 14 GT3. Oh, was this contact? And that's Buchel, I think, with Mikael Sundstrom. And was that just a bit of miscommunication? Oh, Sundstrom was already wide in the chicane. So, for Buchel to have hit Sundstrom, that is bizarre.
Yeah, and that hurts actually, because while there is a gap between Helikalio and Sundstrom.
Oh, so Buchel. Yeah, so our broadcaster, Jake Boswell, tonight just informed us that Christian Buchel bounced on the curb coming in, so once he'd hit that curb, obviously he was just a passenger, as you usually are once you hit those anti-cut curbs.
Right, and that really hurts Sundstrom's chances, because while there is a gap between him and Helikalio, who's sitting first in the GT4 class. That gap could have closed up quite a bit after Hilakalu goes in for his pit, but with that incident, the window opens up for Hilakalu to stay ahead even more. And talking about gaps, right now watching Macaulay, he's kept that almost 10-second advantage over Clausen's for quite a while now, and that's a really comfortable margin of error for him. It's looking like he's gonna come home and pull away with a victory today.
It may look like that, but remember the situation we had at Suzuka just 2 weeks ago. He was leading by, what was it, 16 seconds, and put it into the barrier, and then of course finished all the way down, and I think it was 7th eventually he finished. Had to fight his way back up through the grid, had quite a few mistakes in that race, didn't he? And I think for Joe Macaulay, that's kind of going to be the name of the game today. He has to keep that car on the track, and he has to keep it in first if he's going to have any chance of the title here tonight. He's going to get the points for fastest lap as well, I believe. I don't think there's anyone out there who can lap quicker than the likes of Joe Macaulay here tonight. He just seems to be on another level here at Monza. And it's going to be very, very close as Steve Banks in the 777 comes into the pit lane, and Andy Boardman has served his mandatory pit stop. So we'll have to see what happens with him and Quade Claessens once Claessens has served his pit stop.
Right, you know, maybe Macaulay is keeping that 10-second gap instead of that 16-second gap, knowing what happened at Suzuka, playing it a little bit conservative maybe, because we haven't seen that lead grow, despite the fact that we're expecting Macaulay to have that pace advantage, so he could be playing it safe right now.
So I've just had a little bit of a look through the order and got the calculator out, as the great American Jesse Lee does on our streams here usually at RCI. We don't have him in the box unfortunately here today, but I've run the numbers, and I've identified that if Bart Matcher finishes 11th or higher, he can win the championship. If he finishes outside of the top 11, so if he finishes 12th or lower, and Macaulay wins the race, well, championship goes to Joe Macaulay. So, Bart Matcher, he knows the score. 11th place is the lowest he can finish today if he's going to win the championship.
Right, so looking comfortable, but he is under attack by Nearing right now. Nearing looking on the outside. Is he going to make the move through Ascari? Looks like he has the track advantage. I'm pretty sure he's going to pull away with it, and he comes out ahead at the exit of Ascari.
That was so close between the likes of Nearing and Bart Matcher. I'm pretty sure there wasn't much but a cigarette paper between the likes of those two when Nearing came across the front, but he makes his move. And Bart Matcher down to 7th, but I think from Bart Matcher, maybe a bit of, you know, caution in that move as well, thinking, look, I know that if I finish here, or if I, you know, even if I give up, you know, 6th place to Nearing, I'm still going to win the championship, so I've just got to keep it calm, keep it cool, and just make sure that I don't make any silly mistakes, pick up a penalty, and for the most part, just keep it nice and clean to the end. But what an incredible pass by the likes of Klaus Nearing, and definitely making his way back up through the field. That damage that he seemed to have sustained from the accident with Marcus Stein, he went in and repaired it, and to be fair, it doesn't look like it's hampered his car any.
Right, he's still able to keep it up at the front of the pack for now. Boardman finishing that pit stop and coming out provisionally first in the track position out of all the GT3 drivers who have completed their mandatory pit stop. So he did go in before Clausen's, like we were talking about earlier. So now, what is Clausen's play? Is he going to come in soon, or is he going to stay out in that solo battle all on his own?
Now, it'll be interesting to find out. By the way, Christian Buchel has been given a 15-second time penalty for that collision he had with Mikael Sundström. So, yep, he did hit the anti-cut curb, clattered into the side of the GT4 car, and, well, it was pretty straightforward from the steward's point of view, and 15-second time penalty for Buchel. So his day goes from bad to worse. Mikuláš Ponitsy, though, he's had a pretty good day so far, and he's looking to make a move. Or actually, no, it's Andy Boardman who's looking to make a move on Mikuláš Ponitsy. And he's going to be making his way through. Of course, Boardman's already done his mandatory pit stop. Ponitsy hasn't. And Boardman makes it nice and clean down into turn 1. Very close between the two of them, but that's what we love to see here. Nice close racing, but kept it clean as well. Ponitsy not going to have a look into the second chicane to try and take that place back, and I think the sensible decision there from Ponitsy. He knows that he's not fighting Boardman, but you know what? He's still going to concern him a bit into the first Lesmo. He's going to let him know that he's still here, and if he wants to make a mistake, Ponitsy's glad to take that position back off his hands.
Yeah, so with Boardman sitting ahead of Nearing right now, he's going to come home with that second place in the championship, most likely.
Quick shout out to Peter Henneberg in the chat, by the way. Championship leader, but won't be winning the championship here tonight. And it's a shame that you're not here, but glad to see you out in the chat as Klaus Nearing and Bart Matcher make their way past the number 14 of Sven Kunis. So just lapping him. But yeah, Peter Henneberg, obviously, shame we can't have you here today, but glad that you could be here to watch the end of the championship at least. I think it's always nice, isn't it, when a driver that, you know, if they can't race for whatever reason, I always like it when drivers tune into the stream anyway, just to, you know, to see what's going on, keep up to date with what's going on, and it seems that Peter Henneberg as well, you know, he's saying Matcher should just try and keep his head cool. And, you know, sounds like Peter Henneberg maybe rooting a bit for Bart Matcher in absence of racing tonight.
Right, always nice to have them here anyway. So, Matcher is looking like he's in a comfortable position to take that victory for the championship. Not much he has to do at this point. As long as he's able to keep it together, he's just going to cross that line with the cup.
So, 20 minutes of the race remaining. Let's give you a quick rundown of the order so far. Joe McCauley leads the GT3 Pro Class by Quaid Claessens. 8.8 seconds between the two of them, so Quaid Claessens has closed down the gap a bit on Joe McCauley. Zelico Mazzo leads the AM class at the moment, but of course a lot of these guys out of position. Mandatory pit stops done by a lot of these guys, but some of them still needing to serve them. Andy Boardman sits fourth, but of course third in class at the moment, with Mikuláš Ponitsy, Klaus Nearing, Bart Matcher, Steve Banks, Simon Thompson, and Christian Buchel rounding out the top 10. Chris Miller, Neil Pimlott, Tim Ireland round out the GT3 field that are on the lead lap. Of course, Sven Kunis right at the back of the field. He's a couple of laps down. Hilakalio leads GT4 from Mikael Sundström, Alexander Guglia, Daniele Vidamari, and Joachim Svensson rounding out the GT4 field. And it's looking good for Hilakalio at the moment. That incident means that he's got an 8.9 second gap between himself and Mikael Sundström. So from Hilakalio's point of view, he's just got to try and cruise it to the end now for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, really benefiting off of the challenges Sundström was having earlier. So the GT4 championship standing looking like it's the exact same as what the track order is right now. And that's going to be good news for Hilakalio. If he can come home today with a victory, that's going to be his 5th podium and 3rd win.
Yeah, and of course, the only track that he didn't get a podium at was last week at Spa after the absolute chaos we had coming out of Stavelot on the final lap.
Right.
And we'll be hoping that, you know, things don't go as crazy here at Monza. But interesting piece of news, 5-second penalty coming out to the number 69, Andy Boardman. So what's he received a 5-second penalty for? I'm going to have to query that with the stewards and see what exactly it's going to go on there, because obviously the stewards have given out that penalty. So I'll give you a little update on that when I do receive some news, but that's big for Andy Boardman, isn't it? 5-second penalty. Don't really think it'll mean much in terms of his race position, but he's definitely been involved in some sort of incident somewhere, which could have cost him time to Quade Clarson's. Right,
but he is still sitting pretty strong. 22-second gap between Boardman and Nearing. But right behind Nearing is Mattia. And I wonder what is his play at this point of the race. 17 minutes left to go. He knows if he can keep where he is right now, he comes home with the championship victory. But he is close to Nearing. Is Nearing holding him back? Does he want to just stay behind here anyway to avoid any possible incident?
Well, Bart Matcher currently sitting 5th, way above where he needs to be for the championship, and that'll satisfy him after the start of the race that he had, where got himself turned round at the first chicane, and to be battling for potentially a top 4 at the moment, but sits in the top 5 right now. Of course, they've got Steve Banks behind them, but he's about 3 seconds behind. And looking down the field, of course, a few guys with penalties yet to serve. Well, Buchel and Boardman have been given their penalties after they've done their pit stop, so they won't be serving them during the race. They'll serve them at the end of the race. But Chris Millen will still have to serve his. And here is the 2Cs Motorsport 33. Leads the way in the AM class at the moment from Neil Pimlott, just behind him. But it is, of course, Zeljko Madzo who provisionally leads the AM class. He's a 7.2 seconds behind, already done his mandatory pit stop.
Right, so with the way things are for the GT3 AM class, it looks like Pimlott, after all that went on earlier in the race, is still in a good position to take that victory in the championship.
And Neil Pimlott came in with a massive advantage in the AM championship. Looked like he could potentially lose it all, but obviously he's still on course to finish within the top 3 in the AM class, so that will definitely secure him that championship position. And Bart Matcher, by the way, he's right on the back of Klaus Nearing and was having a look into the first chicane, but deciding better of it. And Bart Matcher, you know, he's going to be sensible about this, surely. And he's going to think to himself, I don't need to make any silly moves. I don't need to dive bomb anyone. As we see Neil Pimlott make his way past the likes of Chris Millen. Nice and clean there. But, you know, Bart Matcher's on the back of Klaus Nearing. You know, I think he's got every belief that he can take that 4th place off the number 23.
Yeah, definitely. But there is that element of risk he has to contend with. I think he's only going to look for the move if it's a clear 100% pass. There's no reason for him to risk it, honestly. And staying in that slipstream can keep him in a comfortable position anyway. It might help him save on the tires a little bit. He doesn't have to battle. He knows he can play it pretty soft, pretty safe. So, not much incentive. I wonder what he's going to do. Is he going to listen to the wise words of Henneberg? Just keep it calm.
Well, we'll have to find out, won't we? Joe McCauley's been in the pit lane, by the way, and served his mandatory pit stop, which has meant that Quade Clarson's has taken over the lead temporarily, though, only provisionally. And, of course, only 3 cars left to serve their mandatory pit stops. Also, Sven Kunis has received a drive-through penalty for track limits abuse, so he was already running 3 laps down at the back, and now he's got a drive-through penalty to serve, so he's really not had a good end to his season, and it's just going to get a bit worse for him. But good to see him continuing on. And of course, finishing the race, he will get points. So there's always a chance to finish ahead of those that don't race tonight or don't finish tonight. Of course, they don't score points. So always good to see people sticking it out despite a bad race, just looking to collect those points as they come home.
All right, so Clausen's out on a lonely battle all the way out in the front. Nobody behind him. So he was in the battle with Boardman earlier in the race. Boardman was right behind him, less than a second behind. But with that 5-second penalty, it looks like Clausen's can take a comfortable second place by the end of this race, if everything goes well at the pit stop.
Well, I did say the days have gone from bad to worse for the number 14 of Sven Kunis. He came in to serve his drive-through penalty, sped in the pit lane whilst already having a drive-through penalty. That means that the server has given him a 30-second stop go to add to his, well, list of unfortunate events over the course of this race. And, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? When you have a drive-through penalty, you got to be so careful not to speed into the pit lane and pick up a stop-and-go penalty. It's so easily done. I've done it myself before.
Right.
Howlin, I mean, have you ever done it before?
I think we've all been there. We know how it is. The race isn't going well. You're like, I gotta go in for that pit stop. And then you get the no penalty. At some point, it's like, who even cares anymore? So unfortunate for Sven Kunis, but you know, being a good sportsman, sticking out the race to the end. It seems like.
So, Jesper Hilakalio still doing a good job out front. 9-second lead over the likes of Mikael Sundström. And Quake Larson still hasn't come into the pit lane, or is he coming in now? No, he isn't. He's still carrying on. So, the South African continues on his way. And he's had a very good championship this season, Quake Larson. It's a shame he did have to miss a race, so his championship position could be much better than it currently is if he didn't have to miss that race. And I think it was it Hungaroring he missed, Howlin? I think it was.
Yes, I believe so. And he was showing really strong races throughout. So it is a little unfortunate. You know, he was sitting at 7th coming into this race, but really he had the pace to be fighting with the front of the pack in the championship. And we see it today. Looks like he's provisionally first on the track. Looks like he's going to come home with a second. Really strong finishes throughout the championship.
So on board here with Quake Larsons, you can start to get a feel for what it's like in the cockpit here of the GT3 720S. Beautiful car, by the way. I mean, we haven't there's been so much action over the course of this championship that we haven't really had too much of a moment to talk about the actual look of these cars, have we, Howlin, over the course of the season? But the McLaren 720S is such a unique looking car, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
To me, it kind of, I've always said that the KTM in GT4 kind of looks like an LMP1 car in a GT3 had some sort of weird child, in a way, because the KTM kind of does have those prototype vibes to it. And the McLaren 720S, it kind of just looks like it was developed for something that isn't GT3 racing.
You know what? It kind of looks like it was made by aliens, not gonna lie. It is probably the most striking car on the GT3 field. I love it, and I'm sure all of these guys driving today love it. Stuck through this championship for so long.
So, 8 minutes and 30 seconds remain of the race. Chris Millen and Quake Larsons still the only two yet to make their mandatory pit stops. Won't have too much longer to do so. So we look at Klaus Nearing in the number 23. It was a good recovery from him after being rather rudely shoved off at the first chicane on lap 2. But looking very good for him at the moment, and I'm sure that he'll be happy with a 4th place finish and a good recovery. Bartmatcher has started to drop back, by the way, from Nearing, but he's still increasing the gap on Steve Banks behind. So as it stands, Bartmatcher just settling into a little bit of a bubble here and looking to bring this car home just under 8 minutes until he is, as it stands, McLaren Masters Cup champion. And I'm sure for Bartmatcher, after the horrible race that his team had at the 12 Hours of Bathurst, I mean, they looked really, really good. They had an amazing qualifying, but they just had so much bad luck over the 12-hour race, and they had to retire the car because it got that bad. And by the way, this is a team, the 404 team, by the way, if you don't know, Bartmatcher, Martin Lawrence, William Stephenson, and of course Ondrej Dedicek, super committed to racing. They're the last team you would ever expect to retire from a race. They are that dedicated, but so much bad luck. I think they were 8 laps down by the halfway point of the race. Things just not going well for them. And, well, they decided to pack it in, and it was a real shame to see, but Bartmatcher, he can come into Monday and he can put a big smile on his face if he can win the championship here tonight. 6 minutes, 36 seconds to go. Quay Claessens finishes his mandatory pit stop and will make his way back out on track. Joe McCauley retakes the lead of the race, and it looks as if Quay Claessens is definitely going to be ahead of Andy Boardman when he comes out of the pit lane. So Quay Claessens comes into the first chicane, and Andy Boardman hasn't even got to the braking zone yet. So Quay Claessens looking comfortable in 2nd place, and I don't think Boardman's going to have the pace to catch him and make 5 seconds to make sure that that penalty doesn't come into account.
Right, and that's just a huge margin we see between them. So something must have went wrong for Boardman on his end, because we did see earlier in the race the gap was less than a second between Boardman and Claessens, but the strategy works out for Claessens. He was able to keep it clean and avoid any accidents. And now it looks like he's coming home with a safe 2nd position in this race. Just over 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, so just over 5 minutes to go here. And Joe McCauley looking so smooth, isn't he? 8.4 second gap, so that gap between himself and Quay Claessens still fluctuating a bit, so Claessens has got pace around here, just not as consistently as Joe McCauley. And, well, speaking of consistency, Klaus Nearing hasn't been very consistent as he's made a mistake, and that's allowed Bartmatcher to catch up to the back of him. So a potential battle for 4th place reignited here in the last 5 minutes of the race. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, the race has been pretty exciting, there have been some amazing moves, and there have actually been some very, very good overtakes as we look at Zeljko Madzo being chased down by Mikuláš Bonizzi. If you're thinking to yourself, well, race looks like it's just going to even itself out, things are going to be pretty calm from this point forward, everything usually goes wild in the last 5 minutes here in the McLaren Masters Cup. It's happened every race, hasn't it, Howlin?
Yeah,
and we'd be fools to not think it'll happen here again.
That last week at Spa, last lap, everything went up in the air. Just a few corners to go, so I'm still on my toes now, but the gaps between the drivers are looking pretty comfortable for everyone. The real battle left to go is Mattia and Nearing. With his position pretty much secured, I think Mattia might take this opportunity to just finish ahead here in the race. And as we see that, we're battling a battle between
Madzo and Panizzi.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A little bit of contact.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there, but I don't really think anything will come of that because Panizzi maintained the position. So a little bit of a nudge there from Zeljko Madzo, but I don't think there'll be any steward's inquiry into that. Having said that, Mikael Sundström, well, his teammate Alexander Guglia is closing him down. And this car had a very, well, not this car specifically, this team had a very good race at the 12 Hours of Bathurst, finish in the top 5, I believe they did. And, well, Mikhail Sundstrom and Alexander Guglia, they were actually racing with Joe McCauley, funny enough, for that event. And, well, Alexander Guglia is going to be looking to get the better of his teammate, but we've seen this before between the nearly on-pace teammates. They don't treat each other like teammates, do they?
Right, so the battle is still on with just a few laps to go in this race in that GT4 class. And like you're saying, Ryan, these guys might be teammates, but they have had some accidents earlier in the championship.
Yeah, they definitely have. But Mikhail Sundstrom off at Ascari. And that's going to allow Alexander Guglia the place. So Mikhail Sundstrom, frustration for him. I mean, this is the man that could have potentially won the GT4 championship here tonight, but things haven't really gone his way, and that kind of just sums up his evening tonight, doesn't it?
Right. And I'm not sure that will matter too much in the end for the championship standing. I think Sundstrom still comes out ahead of Guglia and takes home the second place. But yeah, the pressure getting to him in these last final minutes of the race. Guglia is able to take that position and looks like he's going to finish second at Monza.
Oh, Simon Thompson goes deep at the first chicane, and he's going to have to take to the escape road. Looks like he's taken to the escape road and not gained any time, so he won't get a drive-through penalty, but that's going to allow Christian Buchel a fantastic run on the likes of Simon Thompson down towards Seconda Variante. And as they come into the braking zone, Buchel has the inside line. He's going to get the job done as Joachim Svensson in the 900 picks up a drive-through penalty for track limits with just a minute and 16 seconds left of the race. If there was any time you definitely didn't need to pick up a drive-through penalty, it's on one of the last laps of the race, but unfortunately that's just the way it's gone for Joachim Svensson today.
Right. And, you know, he was still in that fight for fourth place in the championship against Vitamari, just 3 points behind him coming into this race. So, unfortunate for him, he's going to take that 5th place. Vitamari is sitting comfortable in P4.
Joe McCauley, however, he's on the last lap of the race. It's been a phenomenal season here, and whilst Monza hasn't delivered the craziness that we've seen at previous points during this championship, it's definitely delivered entertainment for us here tonight, as car 404 of Bart Matcher has been given a 5-second time penalty. That won't mean much in terms of his position. He has an 8.5 second lead on Steve Banks. So, penalty for Bart Matcher for an incident that I don't think we caught on camera. So I'm going to have to see if there's a steward's report about that, but I don't think that'll mean much for him. However, what will mean a lot is that Joe McCauley is just one corner away from finishing the season here at Monza. He's had a fantastic campaign. Had a couple of poor races at Barcelona and Suzuka, and that has cost him. He won't be winning the championship, but my word, will he be putting himself into the top 3 in a what could have been season for Joe McCauley. He crosses the line. The season officially over for the number 7. Quade Claessens will come home to finish second, another podium for the South African, and he'll be well and truly chuffed with second place, flashing the lights. And Andy Boardman, he's going to pick up a 4th podium of the season. And a very, very good drive from him. Klaus Neering will look to take 4th, just ahead of Bart Matcher. But here he comes, the 404 Connection Lost Racing, the man from Poland, the man who's done it all. He's done all the hard work all season. Your McLaren Masters Cup champion, Bart Matcher, in 5th at Monza. And I'm sure there's plenty of happy and amazing emotions running through right now for Bart Matcher. Didn't expect to be fighting for a championship here. at the start of this season, but my word is he deserved it. And Jesperi Hilakallio, he'll come home to round out the GT4 Pro Championship. Well deserved as well. He's been the pick of the bunch in GT4. And of course, Neil Pimlott, well, he's already crossed the line, so he will round out the GT3 AM Championship.
Now, wait a second. Sundstrom is going to cross the line in 4th in the GT4 class. Could that be a little bit of team action? Because he's given up, I think, the championship order by doing that.
Oh, so Mikael Sundstrom finishing off the podium right at the end here in the GT4 class. So, ramifications for Mikael Sundstrom. I'm not entirely sure what that means for the championship order right now. I don't think it gives Alexander Guglia second place, though. But as we ride on board, your McLaren Masters Cup champion, Bart Matcher, he's enjoying the in-lap. And he's well and truly deserved it here. And Ondrej Dedicek in the chat as well. His teammate for the 404 Connection Lost Racing team. Of course, he's racing with James Parker in the Friday Endurance Championship that returns this Friday. And they took a win at the Nürburgring just before we went for the mid-season break. So high and happy emotions all round for the Connection Lost Racing team. But that is it. That is the end of the season. Bart Matcher, your champion for GT3 Pro. Neil Pimlott, your champion for GT3 AM. And Jesperi Hilakallio, your champion for GT4 Pro.
What a spectacular finish to the season.
Definitely. And, well, guys, if you enjoyed the racing, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit subscribe, and of course, big thank you to our sponsors, Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface, and Next Level Racing. If you want to pick up yourself a sim rig, you can check out Next Level Racing. They have some amazing products on offer for beginners and experienced sim racers alike, so you can start building an entry-level rig for sim racing, or maybe if you're looking for something expensive as well, Next Level Racing can set you up, so do check them out. And also, if you're looking for some driver coaching, whether you're a beginner or a seasoned sim racer who's been around for a while, interested in taking your game to the next level, check out Raceface Speed Labs and use code RCI Coaching for a discount on your next Speed Labs session. So, of course, big thank you to all of them for making everything at Racing Club International possible. Big thank you to our stewards here tonight who have done a great job all season. And, of course, a big thank you to Jake Boswell, our broadcaster for tonight. And, of course, a big thank you to you, Howlin, for joining me all season long on short notice. You've done a phenomenal job of commentary alongside me.
Thanks so much, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. And congratulations to all the winners today. Bart Matcher, Neil Pimlott, and Jesperi Hilakallio. These are your champions. And for all the other guys, thank you so much for keeping it such an interesting up and down season. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, definitely so. And if you're looking for more RCI racing action, we'll be back on Friday for round 4 of the Endurance Championship, a 2-hour race on Friday. And that'll be at the Hungaroring. And I believe you'll have Mike Jones and Jesse Lee in the commentary box for that one, as myself and George Smith will be jumping off to do the G2 Esports Series that Friday. So we're going to be plenty busy here at RCI doing some esports stuff with G2. And of course, there's going to be lots of action right here on Friday with the Endurance Championship. So we thank you all for watching here tonight. So many of you tuning in for the season finale here of the McLaren Masters Cup. It's been absolutely phenomenal. We thank each and every one of you. And of course, as always, we hope you enjoyed the stream and have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys. Goodbye.